It's recording. Okay. So today, you coming, guys? Uh, okay. All right. So today, what we are going to do is very simple. We are going to build our lab. But before we build our lab, we need to understand what we are doing. I have once, yes, this session is being recorded, I think. Yes, it's being recorded. So it will be made available. I once tested a vulnerability on a system. And then what I realized was I was able to break into the system. When you break into a system, what you have to do is to check whether you are actually in the system that you thought you were breaking into. And then when I checked, I realized that I had broken into my own system. And that is because I didn't sanitize my lab very well. My whole setup, it wasn't very robust. And that means that if I was testing a malware, if it was a malware that I was testing, maybe a ransomware that I was investigating, that could have caused my whole machine to be compromised. Okay, that is why this thing is very important. Virtualization. Oh, the best thing that has happened to cybersecurity, especially vulnerability and pen testing, and then offensive security, is virtualization. The reason is when Windows, okay, when you go and most of the machines and the laptops that we buy, it comes pre-installed with Windows operating system. And Windows is the worst machine, the worst operating system that you can use in hacking or anything related to offensive security, because Windows track every little thing. You see the slides that I've opened, Windows knows I have opened it and it will keep it there for years. If I take your laptop right now and I want to investigate what you've been doing for the past 5 years, if you haven't reinstalled an operating system or you haven't wiped your storage, I will find out everything that you've been doing for years. That is how bad using Windows is. It is tracked daily, every now and then. It is tracked. When we get to digital forensics, I'll show you how you can get information from just looking at a PC. And then you figure out what these guys were doing. All right. So today we are looking at virtualization. All right. What is virtualization? What is it at all? When you go and buy a laptop, as I said, it comes with a pre-installed operating system. Okay, let's go practical. Let's go practical. All right. When you buy a new machine, this is what you have. Can you all see this? Hello? Yes. When you
Yes,
buy
we
a
can
new
see, sir.
machine, this is what you have. You have, or when the manufacturer, forget about this side. Let's focus on this, what I've highlighted, okay? When a developer or the manufacturer manufactures a laptop, okay, it is just a bunch of hardware. It's just CPU, their storage, your RAM, just metals and then rubbers, semiconductors that are sitting there. To be able to get these hardware that have been compiled together to work, the system needs an operating system. The operating system is the one that you can communicate through to talk to your hardware. Okay? So when you buy a machine, there's an operating system. So the operating system is sitting on the hardware. So when you are here, you can communicate with your laptop through your operating system. Okay? So mostly if your operating system is Windows, before virtualization, if you want to use a different operating system, then you need to buy a different laptop, or you have to wipe your laptop off this operating system and then bring a different operating system. Let's say I want to run Linux now. You have to bring Linux. Okay? And this thing wasn't for everybody. Then times it takes a lot of techie stuff to be able to do this. All right. Then there came virtualization. Virtualization simply means you are taking this computer, okay, instead of buying a new computer like this, instead of buying a new machine like this, we are not buying another machine. What we are going to do is we are going to create the machine that we want and then put it inside the machine that we have. Hypothetical, not literally. We have this laptop, the one that you are using right now. We want to use another one. So we are going to create another one as an application and then put it inside the hard one that we are having. That is all that virtualization is. Okay. But to make this work, we need an application that will be able to mimic the hardware. We bought a hardware. If you want to create another operating system and use it, we need another hardware. But we can't put a different hardware in one computer, in the computer that we are having. So we have to create an application that will be able to mimic that. And that is how hypervisors come in. This hypervisor is an application just like any application, just like Chrome, it's just like PowerPoint, it's just like any application that is there. But what it does is it gives you the opportunity to create different machines on your laptop. Okay, so when we install a hypervisor like this, like the ones I asked you to download, VirtualBox is a hypervisor, VMware is a hypervisor. We will be able to create different machines and then host them on our computer just like that. So instead of buying a new machine, you will have this installed on our OS. Okay, so this is me. This is my, when you look here, you see that this is VMware workstation, right? This is my hypervisor. This is the one that I use. I also have VirtualBox here. This is VirtualBox. This is the hypervisor. Okay, so this is what gives us the opportunity to create other machines. Now, when you look inside my VMware hypervisor, you realize that I have 3 tabs. I have Kali here, I have Metasploitable, I have Remnox. These are machines that I have created inside this machine. So I can boot into Kali, I can boot into Metasploitable, I can boot into Remnox directly. Okay? And then I wouldn't be having any problem because of the hypervisor I'm using. But what we need to be careful is that this I told you we need hardware to be able to create a machine. So this hypervisor borrows hardware from the main machine. The main machine, we call it the host. So the Windows that I'm running, I call it the host. Okay. Then these ones that I am now installing on them are the guests. So we call these ones guests operating systems. Okay, so I can have as many as I can, as my hardware can. Okay, so let's say I have two, and then you can have a hypervisor, a virtual machine, which is Windows on this Windows host. That's how it works. But what we are going to do is, when you are creating your hypervisor, you have to be careful as to the amount of storage, the amount of CPU, the amount of RAM that you give to your hypervisor, because it's just going to borrow from your host. It's not going to create it. It's going to borrow. So if you have 16 gig RAM, it is part of the 16 gig RAM that you are going to use to run this machine. It's part of it that you are going to use to run this. Okay. So that is one thing that you have to take note. But there is also another type of hypervisor. This type of hypervisor that runs on an already established operating system, like what I'm having in my machine. It's called the type 1 hypervisor. Okay, because is it type 2? Yeah, type 2. Sorry, type 2 rather. Type 2 hypervisor, because I am installing the hypervisor on an operating system that is already working. The type 1 is such that this won't be there. This operating system won't be there. So the machine, the very hardware that we bought from the shop, that is what we are going to use. So you won't have Windows on it. It's just the metal. So then you are going to install the hypervisor on the metal itself instead of having an OS before the hypervisor. This is what we call a bare metal installation, bare metal, because we are installing directly on the metal, on the hardware. Okay, and it's called type 1. So type 1 hypervisors are installed directly on this. This is important for you to understand, because you may go into interviews. When you go to interviews, these are the things that they are going to ask. They are not going to, if they have to ask technical questions, these are some of the things that they will be asking. The difference between type 1, type 2. If you are going for interviews, these are the things that you have to look for. But they need to know whether you know what you are doing. All right. So I believe the type 1, type 2 difference is clear. If it is clear, then we can go on and then install our. Okay, very well. So I have already installed my workstation. I've already installed my my hypervisor. There are two of them. On this one, I don't have anything. On VirtualBox, I don't have anything on there. Okay. So I'm going to use VirtualBox to install one of the operating systems. I asked you guys to download Kali. I have Kali. I don't know where I have Kali. Okay, so I have Windows 7 here. So I'm going to install Windows 7. I'm going to install Windows 7 here. Or let me just use Kali so that it will just be. Okay, I have Kali here. So you see what I am having. When you look at the extension, let me show you the properties. When you look at the extension, it's an ISO file. Okay, it's an ISO file. What I ask you guys to download is a pre-built virtual machine. That one, you don't need to do everything that I am about to do. So there are two ways that you can install a virtual machine on the hypervisor. The first one is using an already built virtual machine. Already built virtual machine is they have assigned a CPU to the machine already. They have assigned RAM to the machine already. They have assigned storage to the machine already. So all that you have to do is open your hypervisor. Let me close Kali here. Open your hypervisor. When it gets open like this, you go to your file. When you go to open, then you browse to wherever you are having that virtual machine is. And then you will see that it is there like that. When you download it and you extract it, it's a lot of files. But when you are opening it, so this is the VMware one. For pre-built ones, you have to download the one that is related to the hypervisor that you are using. So this is a pre-built virtual machine for VMware. Okay. So if you have it extracted, when you open it, you browse to wherever you save that virtual machine and you will see this file. Let me look at the properties for you. You see, it's VMware virtual machine configuration.vmx. Okay, so you don't need to do anything. You just click on it and you open it. Then it will open in your hypervisor. Then you just power it on like that. You don't need to do anything extra. Then your operating system will boot. All right, let me shut this down so that we can. Okay. The second way is when you download an ISO file. An ISO file is not a pre-built machine. So that means that you are now going to build the machine yourself. That means that you are going to build the machine yourself. So that is what I'm going to do with VirtualBox so that you can see. You go to, oh, I already have a virtual machine here. Okay, you go to new. Okay, you name your virtual machine. Say I'll call it GCF. And then you select the ISO image. Look here. You select the ISO image. So you click, then you browse to wherever your ISO image is. I have it. Where do I have this? Okay. Then you select it. Then you open. You can choose to select the OS edition. It's a Linux. The distribution. Okay, I didn't teach you distribution. I'll teach you distribution. Okay. So the particular one that I'm doing, it's a Debian. So let me just choose Ubuntu. All right. Then these things you can keep it the same way. But where this side, okay, when you finish this side, the next side that is important is because now you are building the machine yourself, you need to do certain things yourself, like the storage, the RAM. So when you are done naming it, you come down here to specify virtual hardware. Okay, let me maximize this. Specify virtual hardware. So when you look here, you see base memory. This is the memory that you want to borrow from your host machine to your virtual machine. So right now it's at 4 gig. What you don't want to do is to drag it from here through the red line. That is the most dangerous thing you can do because now your virtual machine is going to fight for memory with your hosts, and then you have problems. Okay, so make sure you keep it under inside the green line, but not too much because you are not really going to use it for a lot of stuff. I prefer to keep it around 2 gig. Yeah, I prefer to keep it around 2 gig. But before you do this, go to your task manager. Okay, check the storage and the space that you are having. When you open your task manager like this, and then you come down to performances, you can look at the memory that you are having. This is your RAM. I am using 16 gig. Okay, and already I'm using it all up. The available memory that I have is 6 gig. If I give the virtual machine more than 6 gig or 6 gig, that means I wouldn't have any RAM left to run the whole thing. So the moment you boot your virtual machine, your host machine is going to run slow and you have issues. So check the memory that you have, check the available memory before you allocate memory to the virtual machine. The second thing that you have to check is your disk. Okay, check your capacity before you give storage to your hardware, to your virtual machine. If you don't check that, you have issues. All right, let's go back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it 2 gig, and then the number of cores, just give it 2 CPUs. If you give it more than 2, it's overkill. Just give it 2 CPUs or 3. So my CPU is having 16 CPUs. Okay, and I'm giving it 3 so that it can use to run. When you finish your RAM and then your CPU, the next thing is your storage. You know the storage that you have. Don't give it too much. At least 20 gig most is okay, unless you want to use it for a lot of things. But if 15 gig, it's fine because it will run for you. All right. So you choose the one this one I can't determine it for you. Depends on the storage that you're having. You choose what you have, and then you are done here. Then you click on finish. Now you see that the machine has been created and it is here. There's the name I gave it. You can power it on by double clicking to power on the machine. You can see here that it is powering up. Why is this taking too long? Good. So it's starting now. So because I created the virtual machine myself, it is the same as you are now going to, oh shit. It is now, you, you are going to choose, you are going to, like you are installing a new operating, why is this? Oh, I'm getting an error because my ISO file has been corrupted. This one is a long day one. It has been corrupted. So I have to delete this. Okay. But I believe the process, you saw the process. I mean, my ISO file was corrupted. If not that, it would have booted and I will just get on with it. But I'm not going to download an ISO file again and start this whole thing. We don't have that time. All right. So that is that for installing virtual machines. Has anyone here installed a virtual machine? Frederick
Yes,
Opoku,
please.
yesterday I showed how to download the ISO file. You know something? Download the already built virtual machine so that we can go through the labs. Okay, download the already built one so that when you go to Kali, virtual machines, this is the installer image. The installer image is the ISO file. The virtual machines are the already built ones. So when you click on that, then you come and download the one that corresponds to the hypervisor that you have. Okay, so download one of them. You go to your hypervisor, file, open, then you go and click on it, then you open, then you have it this way. Then you can power it on. Done. All right. So that is that. Let's go back to classroom and so that I will explain a few things before we. What am I doing? Okay. All right. So I think I've explained all this side. I've explained this. Okay. Now to the machine that we are trying to install. So as I said earlier on, Windows is the worst machine to use in hacking and everything related to, not everything related to cybersecurity, but most of the things related to cybersecurity. So we use a different operating system, and this operating system is Linux. Okay, there are a lot of, because Linux is open source. Open source means everybody can have the code that was used to build the operating system. If everybody can have it, they can tweak it to whatever they want the operating system to be. So because of that, there are a lot of Linux operating systems out there. These Linux operating systems, we call them distributions. Okay? So there are a lot of them out there. For beginners, there is a Linux Mint. It's an operating system, just like Windows. So if you've used Windows for a long time, but you want to switch to Linux and then don't want to switch fully, you can download Linux Mix. If you go online right now and you go and search Linux Mint, you'll have a link to go and download it. Ubuntu is general computing. Pop OS is, you can play games on Pop OS. If you are using Linux Mint, Ubuntu, Kali Linux, you can't play games. But if you want to play games, you can use Pop OS. So there are a lot. But what we are interested in is the cybersecurity and privacy side. We have Kali Linux here. This is built, specially built for cybersecurity. It is built in such a way that it contains almost every tool that you ever need for penetration testing, for digital forensics, for ethical hacking, for web application pen testing, mobile application pen testing. Everything is already there. Maybe some few things that you have to download, but everything is already there. Tails. You see this one? It's a very dangerous operating system, such that you see, when you watch movies and then you see the hackers, those that wear hoodies and stuff, they'll be having everything on a pen drive. They don't have anything. They will just have a pen drive. Go to uh, an open lab, an open computer lab or something. They will just insert the pen drive and then they will do everything and then go. If you want to be that kind of person, you need Tails. Tails is what we use for that. Tails is installed on on USB. You just put it on your USB and then insert it into your machine, and then you can boot it directly. So you will be having Windows on it, all right, but then you turn your Windows off, you insert your USB, you power it on, and then you can boot into Tails. Tails is very dangerous because it doesn't leave any trace of whatever you are doing. After you boot it on your from your pen drive and then you remove it, it's done. Okay. And then there is Parrot OS. Parrot OS is almost like Kali Linux. It's also built for penetration testing and all that sort of stuff. But what we are going to use is Kali Linux. The second thing I'll recommend is Parrot. So if you don't want to use Kali, you can use Parrot. But what is Kali Linux in itself? It's a Linux distribution, as I said, which is maintained by Offensive Security. Offensive Security is a company, it's a cyber security company. They build security stuff. It is built specifically for penetration testing and digital forensics. All right. And then it ships with 600 plus pre-installed security tools. When you buy a new machine and then you install Windows on it. Windows doesn't come with a lot of things. Windows only comes with the few utilities that you can use. When you need Word, Microsoft Office, you have to install it. When you need uh, tools, any tool that you will need, all these things, you have to install them. Okay, everything that you need for cybersecurity, you have to install them. Kali Linux came prepared. Let me boot into mine so that I will share it with you so that you see. Kali Linux came prepared. It came with already installed tools, so you don't have to install a lot of tools again. So it is that quick. When you want to use Windows for security stuff, you have to install these things yourself. Okay, that is why we prefer this, and it is open source. It is free. Now Windows, you have to buy Windows. I know a lot of us are using the cracked versions, but Windows is not free. But why do we use Kali? We use Kali because it is just one OS, one operating system, but every toolkit that you need is there. You don't need to do a lot of manual installations. It supports live boot, persistence, and forensic read-only mode. Live boot means the same I explained with Tails. You can have it on your pen drive and you boot it live, right? Or you can have Windows on your bare metal, and then you can also have Kali as a dual boot. So you can choose to boot into Windows, you can choose to boot into Kali whenever you want. There is persistence, just like Windows has persistence. When you go back, everything that you did will be there. And then there is a forensic read-only mode. The most important thing in forensic is when you are doing an investigation, when you are analyzing a particular hardware, you are analyzing a particular computer, a particular machine, what you don't want is exchanging data between what you are investigating and yourself. So you don't introduce new data into what you are already analyzing. Okay, so you can boot Kali into a read-only mode such that there is no way any data from your machine will go into the new one that you are analyzing. Okay, when we get to forensics, this will be explained and then demonstrated perfectly. It's used across a lot of domains: offensive security, certified ethical hacking, and then SOC, security operations. It saves hours for compiling, patching, and configuring security packages individually. Yeah, it comes pre-installed with things, so you don't have to do them yourself. We have already done how to install Linux. So I said you can use a virtual machine to install it. That's what we've done. You can install it bare metal directly on the hardware. We've done that. And then dual boot is having Windows here and then Kali here. So you choose which one you can boot into. Then live USB is what I explained with the Tails OS one. Then WSL. This is a Windows plugin. It's a Windows utility that is for only Linux. I think I have the WSL. Let me show you what it is. So instead of installing what am I doing? Okay. Instead of installing the hypervisor to install your Linux, instead of installing it directly on bare metal, instead of having it on your USB that you can boot, Windows came up with WSL. Okay, WSL is an utility. It works like a hypervisor, but it is not a hypervisor. that you can have a Linux here for light stuff, not for serious stuff. But if you want to run few commands, you can use WSL to test for that. And then you can use WSL to install all these distributions that we are talking about. You can use it to install Ubuntu. You can use it to install Kali. And then let me show you. When you click WSL here, you see that I've booted into WSL. This is my Ubuntu that I've installed on Windows with WSL. When I click on it, you see that I am no longer inside CMD, which is for Windows anymore. I am inside Ubuntu. So when it finishes boosting, this is a Linux. This is an Ubuntu distribution that you can use to run every command. You can use this for hacking, actually. Instead of installing all those sort of stuff. So for those guys that I said that if you don't have storage, if your machine is not that powerful to go through the virtualization process, look for WSL. Okay, look for WSL. What you are going to do is, when you come to WSL, let me open WSL here. When you open WSL like this, or okay, start from here. Search for CMD and then open CMD. When you open CMD, what you are going to do is you are going to type this command WSL -- help. It will list every command that you will need to know about WSL, and that is how you are going to install your WSL operating system. I will list the command that you are going to follow in the group, so that if you don't have the means to install the hypervisors, you can have at least an Ubuntu or anything there that you can use to follow what we are doing. Okay. So when I do this command, you realize that I am in a Linux distribution. Okay. This is Windows. This is Windows. And then this is Linux. Two different things running at the same time here. That is the WSL part. Ah. All right. So let's go on. I think I've gone through all this. I've gone through all this. So now the next session is, do we have time? It's 7.
Yeah, we have time.
Okay. If we have time, boot your those that have installed Kali Linux, boot it so that I will show you few commands. Tomorrow is the next full session for Kali. We'll run commands there. We'll show how Kali works. We'll show how you are going to use to target systems, how you are going to use it to defend systems. Tomorrow is the full session for that. So if you were not able to do it, to install it today, please, by tomorrow you need to have it running, seriously, because if you don't have it running, you won't be able to follow and catch up. Okay, so you see this, right? This is the anatomy that I want to show you. This is how Kali commands work. There is a command, there are options, and there are arguments. A command is basically what we call a verb, an action word. You see this option or flag? These are options that we can use to manipulate the verb. Okay, let me just go and show you. I don't like the one that we have to talk to explain. So let me boot into Kali. All right, so let's pick up from after you've installed your Kali. Okay. Then you log into your system. This is basically what you are going to have. Is my screen showing? This is basically what you are
Yes.
going to have. Okay. Now, when you are here like this, you have a desktop, just like Windows. You have your desktop that you can use to go around. This is your file manager. You can use to go around to check your pictures, your documents, and all that stuff. Okay, you have it there.
Eh,
Yes, Finn, it's the same for the VirtualBox. When you open it, it will just come just like that. All right. So you can move around. You can navigate around using your mouse, your cursor to navigate around. What do I mean when I said this come pre-built? Look at all the things here. It has been grouped. When you click here, this is the applications, every application that is installed on it that came with the operating system. When you click here, you can see it. Bartholomew, if you have a question, please type it in the comments, okay? You see, these have been grouped. You have one for reconnaissance, you have resource development, you have initial access, you have ones for execution, you have ones for persistence. These are all tools that have been pre-installed already. And then it has been grouped into the purpose for which it was created. So if I want to, reconnaissance means gathering information about a target, okay? If I want to gather information about a target before I attempt to deal with them, these are the tools that I can use. So your duty, I'm just introducing it to you. Your duty is to know how each of these work. If not every one of them, at least the most common ones that we use. I'll show you the most common ones. I will navigate it with you. But you can see that there's a lot of things here that I cannot deal with each of them. There are some even here I haven't used it before. Okay. This is your job to know what each of them is used for. All right. So that you can leverage it very properly for whatever that you intend to do. These are credential access. If you want to crack a password, if you want to guess a password, these are the things that you use. Hydra, John the Ripper, Medusa. These are the things that we use. Kali is requesting for a password. The password is Kali. The username is Kali. The password is Kali. And then Richard Edu is saying the cursor works, but it is invisible when I want to hover. Which hypervisor are you using? Are you using VMware VirtualBox? VMware. Okay, so for VMware, what is going to look what I'm doing here, okay? When I bring my cursor down here, I am on Windows. If I take it up here, I am in Kali. If it doesn't work, if your cursor goes here and it doesn't show down here, use your control button and then your alt button. Click what do we call it? Click on them on the same time. Your cursor will appear so that you can go whichever way that you want. Okay, let's continue. So this is VMware. This is Kali. How we are going to use Kali is not this way, going around looking for things. No. If you are going to do this cybersecurity thing for real, what your friend is this thing here. We call it a terminal. Okay. This is where you are going to. So let me explain this to you. You see me clicking here. If I use my cursor, my mouse to click on favorites like this, what I am doing is I am sending a command to the operating system to do it for me. When I am clicking here, File Manager, I am sending a command to the operating system to open File Manager for me. then it will open it. All right. This is boring. And then if you want to talk to the system yourself directly, this is where you come. You come to your terminal and then you command the system directly. What you have here is a terminal that you can write commands to the system. And that is how you are going to survive as a cybersecurity professional. Because every tool, almost every tool that you are going to use is terminal based. It is CLI. It's a command line. You have to command it to work. You are not going to have a lot of tools that you are going to open, like I am opening Chrome, I am opening Task Manager here. No, you have to come in here and then run the command to talk to your system. There is no programming language. It is a bunch of commands. Okay, you don't use the commands. It's not a programming language. It's just Linux commands. And then I will show you how it works. Okay, so the anatomy of command is that you have the command itself. Okay, there. Then you have a flag there. Then you have an argument. An argument. Okay, this is the basics of prompting Linux. The commands are a lot. One of them, let me just show you one. Then we end so that we'll continue dealing with it properly tomorrow. One of them is mkdir. This is just make directly. You see, when you are learning computers for the first time, the first thing that you are going to do is to create a folder. So go on an empty space on a desktop, right click on an empty space on a desktop, click on create folder, name the folder, and then blah, 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 blah. That is what we are doing here. But instead of going here to right click and then create whatever, I haven't even used this before. Create a folder and then rename it hello. What we are going to do is we are going to command the system to do it for us directly. And as I said, the command itself are verbs. So when you look at this one, it's mkdir. Simply is a short form for make directory. So on Linux, the folders that you know on Windows is called directories. Okay, so we are going to create a new folder, and that folder we are going to name it James. Okay, so make a directory called James, then you click on enter, and that is it. You've created the directory name James. Okay, let me see if it is there. You can see that their folder has been created and it is called James. The commands that I'm using, don't bother. Tomorrow we will deal with every command. We'll deal with every command. Guys, as I said, and I will reiterate, if you are not comfortable with the command line, forget it. Don't go to offensive security line. Don't go to defensive security line. Don't go to building line. Don't go to architecture line, because you won't survive. Maybe you survive with audit, you survive at regulatory, and then this thing is not difficult. It is not difficult at all, because Linux has provisions for everything. If I go online right now and I go and search Linux command cheat sheets, just make it PDF. You see, there are a lot of them out there that you can use to learn. There are a lot of them out there that you can use to learn. See, it is already teaching you what you need to do. You see, the command is there, and then display Linux system information. So this thing, you can just download it and then use it to practice after I have introduced the main commands to you. Okay, so please get comfortable with the command line. It is not difficult at all. I know some of us it will be some way, but then you have to deal with it anyway. All right. That is that for today. I don't want us to spend a lot of time. So today, what we did was introduce hypervisors, introduce virtualization and what it is, and then install Kali or whatever operating system that you want to use. But I'm recommending Kali and Parrot OS. And then we've opened it. We know how Kali looks like, so that tomorrow when we come, pure practicals. Tomorrow there's no theory here. Okay. So let me say this. When you go to the classroom, okay, there is this. There is Metasploitable. This one. Okay, please download it. That is what we are going to use to test uh, some attacks that we are going to use. Download this. This is also a virtual machine, but it is built for testing. It is built such that you can exploit it. You can test vulnerabilities on it and then you can hack it, basically. Okay, so download this. This will be our punching bag. Download this. That is what we'll be using tomorrow. This and then the Kali that you've installed. Those are the things that we are going to use. When you look at my VM here, you see that I have it here. If I open it, I can boot in directly and then start attacking it from my Kali. So this is what we want to achieve. Your Kali box and then your Metasploitable 2 box, so that you can run commands here and attack this one directly. Then you can see the results showing here. That is that for today. If you have questions, please do ask. What about the Windows ISO file? We will deal with Windows. We will also use Windows 7 as our punching bag. There are a lot of vulnerabilities there that I want you to test, so that you will know that even now there are still people using Windows 7. So when you look at those people, you can just use them for testing, because we are not supposed to be using it. Yeah, is there any other question? Yes, the hypervisor is the virtual box. The virtual box is a hypervisor. VMware is also a hypervisor. Yes, ignore the ISO, and then go on with the virtual machine. Just download the virtual machine directly and then use it. Finn, open your mic, unmute yourself, and then ask the question properly, okay? I don't quite get it. Yes, the slides I've sent yesterday's own already. Today, when I'm done here, I'll just forward it to the group so that you can. I'll forward it to
So
the
please, I was
classroom.
asking that.
Yeah,
Hello.
yes, Finn, I'm listening.
Please, I was asking that when you open the hypervisor
When you open the hypervisor on your,
your machine, then
yes,
you go before if you're folding the Kali Linux, you open it on the hypervisor, right?
yes, you open it on
That's
the
what you did.
hypervisor. Yes, exactly.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
You're welcome. Richard, so I downloaded both, then I can delete the ISO. Yeah, delete the ISO. Just use the virtual machine, open it directly in your hypervisor, and then you are good to go. Okay, is there any other question I have to look at? Hello? If there's no other question, we will close. Yes, Mystique?
Yeah, listen,
Yes.
listen. I want to ask if the lessons are being recorded. Probably we
This
can come back to
one,
them.
yeah, I am recording this one. Yes, I think so. I'm recording this one.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Edu, You raised your hand. Is there any question? What is the recommended RAM and storage for the virtual machine? Okay. As I said, it depends on what you are having. If you are having 8 gig RAM, give it like 2 gig RAM or 3 gig RAM. If you are having 16 gig, give it like 4 or 3 or yeah, give it like 4. Okay. For storage, if you are having 128 gig, storage crowd there, give it like at most 50, at most 50 gig. So you can stay between 20 and 50. Yes. Is there any other question? We'll take the last one and then go. You also told us to sign up on Try Hack Me, hack the box, and then post trigger. Yes. When we get to the ethical hacking site, that's when we are going to use that. But sign up now so that it wouldn't be another thing that we have to do. Okay, so last question, then we close. All right, if there's no question, then class has been dismissed. Thank you all for joining us. We'll meet same time tomorrow. Please install your operating systems. If you don't install it tomorrow, I don't know what you are going to do. All right, see you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
There is this gentleman. Oh shit.